going live tonight. I forgot to put out the social media notification till earlier, so hopefully someone, so hopefully y'all got it later than sooner. Anyways, so yeah, it's been a crazy week. If you've caught some of my video updates and community updates, the new website is launched, and I do have a coupon code in the chat for $5 off either your first or next order from the uh, new website. It's a single use code, so you can and I think it combines with other ones. Currently, I think it's the 17th of June. So I have a Father's Day sale going through Monday, which I think is 20% off. So yeah, the new website is finally launched. I'm very excited about that because it took a freaking long time to get. I mean, not as long as it could have. I just, you know, also I'm newish location because the other part of the announcement, and I'm going to put a brief sidebar in here as well. I haven't been. I stopped taking my Adderall like a week ago. So apologies for the flaky dipshittery of my existence right now. As a result, I found that I discovered if I don't take my Adderall, I don't have as like I feel like it makes me hyper focus too much on my sensory processing, or it amplifies it somehow. So being that it's the loud season in the hood, once I stop taking the Adderall, it's a little less intense for me. So that's just I get to be a flaky dipshit until I move. Which brings me to my next point, and welcome to those just joining. Is I am in the process right now of selling this house and moving out of the city. So my goal right now is to have this house ready and on the market around right after July 4th. Um, so what this means as far as business goes and even like videos and live streams, because I work from home, it gets a little complicated to have house showings and stuff like that. So my plan, at least to start off, to see how it works out for the first couple weeks, because I might have to adjust it, is that I am going to be working here from Monday, probably through Friday afternoonish, and then I am going to be spending the weekends up at my parents' house so they can do. I'm going to take the cats with me because my cats are basically dogs. You've probably met them. So I'm going to be going away for the weekends. Um, and then they'll do the showings here. I don't have to worry about being in and out. Don't have to worry about the cats. I can get everything set up and, not be freaking out about like, I've got to do this and this and this and this and this. It's just easier for me to not be here during that process. Because if you've ever sold a house before, it is. Speaking of my cats, here comes Corey. Selling a house is kind of a giant pain in the ass. Like right now, I am no Corey. Don't jump up there. You want to come over here? I spent all day, going through cleaning and organizing. So I really have to. It's like you have to stage your house so it kind of looks like an IKEA catalog living room instead of a gigantic. My house looks a bit like an occult store, coupled with a dark arts gallery, coupled with an antique shop that only sells cursed goods. So I need to make it kind of not look like that, so people don't like open the door, freak out, and run out, and need to go get. If there's a run on exorcisms in Philly, it's probably because my house is on the market and people like came here and got freaked out. But hi, Corey, what are you doing? So once my house is on the market, I'm doing the back and forth. I'm going to have to, at least for the foreseeable future at that point, as my processing times are going to be a little different because I'm with me being away for the weekend. I am going to, all orders that come in before I leave, I will try to get out and into the mail. Because I don't really like leaving it out on the porch overnight. So I would say the order cutoff at this point would be whatever I can get out before I leave on Friday. I mean, I suppose I could go to I could, uh, you know, my mail gets picked up randomly at different times. So like it could get picked up at like noon or it could get picked up at like 5. So I'm gonna try to get everything taken care of as much as I can. But any orders that are coming in like Friday through Sunday are not going to get processed and start going out until Monday or Tuesday, depending. So it's just gonna be a little slower process. But I don't know how long that's going to last. On average, houses in my area are staying on the market for about 30 to 60 days. So this and that, and in that time, I also have to find a house and buy a house and stuff like that and move. So things are gonna be a little chaotic. I am hoping to have all of this like done, tip to tail by I would say by October. I just want to have everything in order before the holiday season, for Halloween, for the holiday season, for all that. Um, so that is kind of the Corey. What are you doing? I can tell you've got asshole face on. Moon is just sitting there, and you're like, I'm gonna smack you on the head and bite your ear. Yeah, I'm gonna do it again. Idiots. So, anyways, if anyone has any questions or topics to talk about, I'm just watching my cats be idiotically fighting. Sometimes they have the slowest fights in like the world. It's like Corey just puts his paw on her head and they're just sitting there for like a minute, not doing anything. She's like, "What? I'm not going to move." I think I have the chat set up okay on here. It should be coming through. I always have technical issues. Hold on one sec. Let me check my phone. Hey, I'm live. Okay. Oop. While we're here, don't forget to like the stream. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, you can do that and clicking the notification bell because I don't even get notified of my own videos sometimes, and you would think it would do that, but yeah, I don't know. You have to like click the notification bell and then kind of select all, um, because I find even then sometimes I get so few notifications. I'm like, I subscribe to a lot of channels. The fact that I only get like maybe 1 or 2 notifications a week, I think YouTube is a little borked in that sense. But yeah, so anywho, I'm trying to think if there's anything else announcement wise. Because again, mentioned I've been off my Adderall for a week, so I'm extra dipshitty. So, um, what can I talk about? Oh, I finally got my copy of Mark Allen Smith's Queen of Hell this week. It was a gorgeous book. Um, I'm excited to kind of like this is from the Primal Craft series, so I'm actually really excited to kind of dip into this. It's gorgeously crafted. I guess it's like a fur cover, and it's kind of got like the gold engraving. Queen of Hell, very very occulty. So I'm very excited about that. I don't know when the fuck I'm gonna have time to read while doing all the moving and you know prep work and stuff for that. So yeah. Sorry, I'm a little spacey. I was debating whether or not I wanted to do a live stream tonight. Just because I spent like literally all day cleaning and organizing. So, speaking of what I was talking about, I'm gonna be away for the weekends at my parents' house. I don't know necessarily what I'm gonna do for the live streams then because my parents are old and they like, go to sleep at 9 p.m. Um, of course, then they wake up at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I often talk to my parents while I'm still awake and they're just waking up in the morning. Um, so yeah, so that's I don't know what I'm gonna do necessarily for the streams. Then I may end up changing like the day or the time, something like that, because I don't want to be talking, it's with I mean I think it would be okay. I mean, I'm not like screaming here or anything, but I think that it would I don't want to be a bother, as it were. So anyways, that was the last thing. So I'm still going to try to make videos when I can. I usually kind of like pick a day of the week and then I drop like I record all my videos like back to back and then drop them throughout the week. So um, probably going to record another one maybe after the stream. I might do that. If I'm still cognizant enough to do so. I've been trying to take a little bit of time for myself, which is not something I'm particularly skilled at doing. I have to remind myself to do that. So yesterday, what day was yesterday? Was yesterday? Yesterday was Friday. Um, so like I had a mostly chill day. I mean, I got my stuff ready to drop in the mail today, but so I had like a past life regression sort of in the afternoon and sort of chilled after that for a while, kind of distilling things. Um, and then had one of my Amanita muscaria gummy journeys last evening. And then I slept really well. Except I always get like the sleep munchies whenever I have an Amanita gummy. So I end up like half conscious, just gobbling down snacks. So yeah, but got a lot done today, so that was nice. Y'all are being quiet tonight. I haven't seen anything in the chat come up, and I'm hoping my chat is working. I use Restream for when I do the live streams. So there's like different chat settings, so should be. But anywho, Jared asked, where do I get the Amanita gummies? Hold on, I will put a link in the window for you. They have them sometimes at those like the non-medical marijuana, like the CBD cartoon places will sometimes carry them. Hold on, come back here. Amanita. All right. Yeah, I get the cosmic ones. I get the Amanita with HHC in it. I find they're really nice and I sleep really well. Let me throw that into the website. Or into the chat. There you go. That's where I get them at. Thanks. Congrats on the new shop launch and good luck on move. Thank you. Yeah, it's I've wanted to move for like I think I talked about this in my June updates, possibly, or the website launch video I did. But yeah, I've wanted to move for at least 2 years, but probably about 3 at this point. I just had like a lot of stuff I needed to take care of before I could do it, like financial stuff, and there's just it would have wouldn't the timing wasn't right. I mean, I should have moved, but I didn't. I don't know. I think sometimes the divine timing of it all, as it were, you have to kind of take that into account, and that sometimes, things happen for a reason. Honestly, I never thought I would want to move back to my area of origin, but here we are. I mean, honestly, if the past 3 years hadn't been the past 3 years that it gestures around at humanity, I think I'd probably be a little more. I would be more open to staying in the city, but like I am not going through another election cycle in this city. I am not. Yeah, I just 2020 was brutal for city living, and it just I don't know. I really I just don't even leave the house half the time. I'm like, ugh, I have to leave. I have to go out and do stuff. Ugh, doing stuff's the worst. But I also realize it's not healthy staying holed up in my house and not leaving the house more than once a week. So but at the same time, I would like if I lived in a nice neighborhood where I could go take a walk around the block and not have to worry about getting stabbed, shot, strangled, bludgeoned, pummeled, and whatnot. Um, as well as staring at just ugly ass old row homes and dirty Philly streets. Like if I had like a tree lined block I could walk around, that would be great. So, or you weren't risking your life going anywhere because people are freaking psychotic. And apparently in the past week, it's been a weird week in Philly because like we got all the I think last week we had all the smoke come down from the wildfires up in Canada. So like I don't know, I'm like forecast look outside. I'm like, oh, we're having Blade Runner weather. How nice. We didn't turn as orange as New York City did, but it was still like it smelled like burnt plastic outside. It was just very and the sun looked very weird. And then for added bonus, a tanker exploded and collapsed half of I-95, like over, an overpass on 95 in both directions, northeast, like kind of going on the northeast of Philly. I'm like, Philly, what's going on here? I'm like, also makes me wonder how well the road was built to begin with. But anywho, apparently it did melt. I think part of I-95 melted back in the 90s due to a tire fire. So this is what we're dealing with here in Philly. Our what they're doing, because obviously it's going to take a fuck ton long time to rebuild an overpass, bridge, and stuff, but also with the amount of traffic that I-95 handles, they're and this is so Philly. So down by the stadium, like where like all the football, baseball, concerts and stuff there's this like a place that's called Xfinity Live. It's kind of, I guess, like a big sports bar complex or something. Like think like Dave and Buster's kind of thing. But they're live streaming this weekend. They're doing a temporary like backfill fix just to get like I-95 kind of unfucked, but they're doing a live stream of this like like a sporting event at this place. I'm like, that is so freaking Philly. But yeah, anyways, Philly news aside, between the Runner weather and our I-95 collapsing, um, yeah, it's a little. I mean, infrastructure is an issue in a lot of, especially in a lot of the older cities and stuff. Because there used to be bridges here, like before they redid the South Street Bridge, you literally would say a prayer before you go over the bridge because you're like, this shit's gonna collapse any minute. And I think it was after that bridge collapsed in Minneapolis, like they kind of realized how bad the South Street Bridge was, and we're like, yeah, we're gonna close this and actually fix it. But which took like 2 years to do. So obviously, like with I-95, they can't keep I-95 closed for like months on end or 2 years or however long it takes. Like it is so ridiculous. Like they were giving alternate instructions. It's like, okay, so from here on 1990 on I-95, go drive to New Jersey and then back, and then, come around this way. So it's like basically you have to drive from parts of Philadelphia, you have to drive to New Jersey to get back to Philadelphia. Hi Dante, thank you. So yeah, it's been a weird week here. It's been a weird week. I don't know if the Canadian wildfires are done wildfiring, but so we may end up getting more smoke and stuff. It was pretty bad up here in the Northeast from that. Like the air quality was terrible. Does anyone have any questions or topics? So, do you have any advice for lucid dreaming? I'm weaning off to enhance dream recall. So for lucid dreaming, that's the funny story. Like, because with my Amanita thing, I'm like, a lot of times what I do when I go to bed is I will bring, like, I have tons of journals, so I always keep a journal by me. So if like I happen to wake up, I could just like scribble something down, or I keep my phone by me. I've had a lot of weird. I've made a lot of note to self in Facebook posts. And apparently last night, I in my Amanita gummy, because one of the reasons I mentioned earlier in the live is that I did a past life regression, is that I kind of came to realize that I have some significant memory loss from earlier in life due to CPTSD. And the problem was, I'm like, I'm fine not remembering the stuff that caused the PTSD, but the problem was it messed up all the prior timelines and took away a lot of the good memories too. So I'm trying to kind of access and open that. So I've been doing a lot of, I did the past life regression. I'm kind of trying to access some of that stuff through hypnagogic states. So I did the Amanita gummy last night. And apparently I put all the notes from as I was about to pass out. I Facebook messengered them to a friend of mine. So I have to transcribe those. So for the lucid dreaming, I found initially what helped me remember it a lot was using a lot of the flying ointments I make. That you're not getting so blotto that you will on like other substances that you'd have a hard time recalling. What is the favorite flying ointment we make? The Lucifer and Lilith ones are my favorite. I also like the Go Ask Alice one. And while we're talking about flying ointments, I'm gonna put some flying ointment on so I can fly later. Boop. Hopefully I won't make my forehead too shiny. Get some on the heart chakra, or the boobage, as it were. See, this is usually what I do with it. That's why I always include the little makeup spatula things, because like it's just easier, and that way my hands aren't all waxy. But yeah, the Lilith and Lucifer ones are my favorite. I like this one that I'm using just because I don't know why I just happened to grab it from my downstairs stash of things. This is the Liminal States one. And this one is like belladonna, Datura, let's see, Daturanoxia, mugwort, wild lettuce, calendula, with some jasmine essential oil, blue lotus essential oil, and blood orange essential oil. So I tried to make my flying ointment smell at least a little perfumey nice, because sometimes, like, not for nothing, when you like do herbal infusions, just straight up herbal infusions, sometimes they end up pretty stanky at the end, especially like when I do the flying ointments, I keep them on like a low heat for 24 to 48 hours. So, and then sometimes I'm not always good at like straining them right away. So like it gets that like a very herbaceous aroma. Any tips on working with a maimon? It really depends on I mean, are you working with a Maimon as their own entity, or as an aspect of Lucifer, or in the sense, like a lot of times people work with sort of what they call like the four main demonic gatekeepers of Belial, Amaimon, Azazel, and Abaddon. So kind of they would be kind of like the four corners in that sense. I didn't work. I didn't do a whole lot of work with the Maimon. Like I almost feel like a Maimon is an entirely separate entity from Lucifer, and I know from the Bulgosphere, like Lucifer and Maimon are kind of like, I guess, Maimon's like the black sun or something like that. Or I think that was it. It's been a while since I read that grimoire, but I don't know. I just feel like a Maimon is a separate entity from Lucifer, but what do I know? Any and all and just himself. I mean, I've worked with Maimon sort of in conjunction with the other, like when I do something with, was I trying to do like the bottomless pit or the lake of fire? Um, like certain some recipes, well, they kind of are rituals, like involve working with certain spirits or entities. So, um, yeah, so I didn't do too much individual work. Like I think it's sort of like if I'm going to work with Lucifer, I'm just going to work with Lucifer. Um, yeah, I feel like that too. Like a Maimon is, I'm not sure the process in which a Maimon got like categorized as like the dark aspect of Lucifer or the black sun aspect. I'd have to look at um the book or whatever, but I don't know. I feel like it's more for marketing purposes. But anywho, um, I feel like a Maimon, when I have worked with them, uh, very serpentine, like a winged serpent, like not necessarily draconian in that sense, but more like it's just got that serpent energy. Hi, Corey. What's up, Bubby? Yeah, there's stuff in the way. Are you gonna knock it all over to get over here? You're gonna knock it. Yep, you're gonna knock it all over to get over here. Sorry, Corey's incoming. But yeah, I don't really work with the Maimon all that much. I mean, right now I've been working a lot with Abaddon, and it was interesting. I was talking yesterday about with someone about a colleague about this, and it's like people like it's almost like a lot of these like spirits and stuff get like typecast into particular roles or stereotyped in a way, and it's like we were both talking about like how healing working with Abaddon is, especially like for doing shadow work, and stuff like that. Like I've found I've just found like my recent workings with Abaddon to be really enlightening. And it's funny because like out of all my videos on my channel, I think my Abaddon video gets the most hate from my Christian fans. Um, like, screw the videos on Satan. You made a video on Abaddon? Oh my god. You know. Hi buddy. Oh, you're gonna get comfy up there? Make a nest. I am always worried that my cats aren't comfortable enough. That is Corey on a pile of about 8 pillows. He's a very tragic life, you see. I find, when you're feeling called towards something, um, I would say like don't work with something because you feel like you have to, but if you feel called to it, or it keeps coming up for you, like that would be that's usually kind of how I kind of figure my next move as to what I need to work on. Um, And Abaddon, like I dropped a video. Actually, I dropped I think a couple videos about recent workings with Abaddon. Um, but yeah, it's been really interesting. Like Abaddon helped me because I've been really frustrated with the sensory processing issues I have, and he just kind of nudged me in the right direction and was like, rearrange your living room. And I'm like, because my sofa used to be in front of the window. It's not a huge living room. Um, so my sofa used to be over there in front of the window, and the TV used to be here in front of the stairs. And I was getting all the noise behind me from the street and outside. And I've been trying to. This is the first year that I was trying to combat the loud season by staying downstairs more because it's a little more quiet down here. But it was hitting like a lot of my sensory processing triggers, especially with like Reggae Man on the corner who opens up the doors and windows and just, aerates the whole neighborhood with reggae music, which I don't hate, but it all kind of sounds the same after a while, or else maybe he only owns like one reggae album. And then just, the people with the subwoofer bass or the neighbors talking loud on the porch, stuff like that. And it was just getting to be like enraging. And I realized, once I flipped the living room around that way, I'm like, oh, well, that was a good solution. Thanks, Abaddon. There was some other stuff in there too and whatnot. But I definitely could say from that like simple thing, like I've actually like it helped so much. So I'm kind of working with Abaddon on some other things, like when you really need to like break up a blockage in something, like road opener kind of stuff, or you've just got all these things kind of piling up. Like I've really enjoyed working with Abaddon, and it was interesting yesterday during the past life regression because Abaddon was showing up there too. And I was really surprised that while I was working with Abaddon, Santa Muerte came by because she notoriously does not work with other spirits, or at least, So I'm like, okay, this must be really important if Santa Muerte is deigning, an appearance with Abaddon for it. They ended up quarreling a little bit over the best approach, but I think it's okay now. But it was interesting. She was in her red robes, which was so cute. Yeah, so it's well, I just completely lost my train of thought. Oh, okay, you're doing your first cord cutting ritual after this. Any tips or suggestions would be great. Um, I mean, it depends on the type of cord cutting. Like, I mean, if like, there's there's two approaches to cord cutting. There is just the daily maintenance cord cutting because the theory is like we develop etheric and energetic cords with everything, with not only the physical objects, but like I have my etheric cord with my cat. He's like damn straight, or the people you come in contact with, whether they're online or offline. Especially if you're working with other, like if you have a lot of clients and doing stuff, like you kind of need to cut those, do some energetic spiritual hygiene to cut those cords. So that's one approach to it. And there's simple things you can do on that angle. Like I have a pair of ritual scissors where you can sort of visualize pulling the cords and just sort of, cutting them. Or you can, clear out your auric field with like selenite or Palo Santo to do some cleansing. I have a specific black obsidian cord cutting blade that I got, I think on Energy Muse's website, that you can use for cord cutting, stuff like that. But typically when people do cord cutting rituals, like I need to cut cords with this one person or this thing, a lot of times they will do, like you'll take like two candles and then you'll tie them together with like thread or yarn or something like that. Um, Sorry, my hand is like really itchy tonight. So that's one way that you can do it. But I mean, thinking about it in the sense of like you're clearing out energy. So if you can really visualize those, not only doing the symbolic like cord cutting through, like if you're doing it like a candle spell, but like thinking about your own energy field, like your physical body energy, your auric energy and stuff like that, to really cut those cords. And part of that is like cleansing things. So if you want to, I don't really do a lot with sage, but if you have like a bundle, like I sometimes have like the cedar bundles and stuff like that, you can, kind of start clearing and cleansing out your body as part of the cord cutting as well. Like I highly recommend that. Um, I mean, you could do something like that before as you're opening up into doing the ritual, and then do a cleanse afterwards. Um, yeah, that's usually what I would do. Like I tend to do a little more like maintenance cord cutting or energetic cord cutting. Like I'll take like I have the cord cutting bath salts and soap and a ritual oil. So like a lot of times I'll just, if I need to kind of get that energy off me, I will take a bath like with the bath salt. Hello there, soaring eagle. Yeah, I need to get my hair color touched up a little bit. In I'm in my week or so of where I get to be a pastel goth. Because it's interesting because it's like the color stays really well on the freshly bleached part of my hair, but like the older parts that have had other dye on it, been bleached and had color removed, it tends to fade a little bit more. But I think I have an appointment towards the end of the month. Um, to get it, because my roots need to be done as well. Yeah, pastel golf. Oh my god, I'm really worried that Corey is not comfortable enough. It's on a mountain of pillows. Would you like a blankie, sir? Would you like a blankie? Smoosh face. So if everyone wants to send Corey some good vibes, he's going in on Tuesday to get his teeth cleaned and possible extraction. So send good kitty healing vibes to Corey for that. So I think he's been a little uncomfortable. Oh, I hate humidity is awful. It is not my friend. I don't mind the heat. It's just, yeah, the humidity is, it's like, I've been to Florida a bunch of times and stuff like that, but yeah, like there's times when it's just like you're trudging through. It feels like it's the air becomes so dense from the humidity. It's just like walking through molasses. What is the best way to learn about herbalism without getting ripped off? Well, I mean, it depends on what you want to accomplish with herbalism. Depending on where you're at, there might be like your local herbalist might teach classes, or there might be stuff at like workshops at like the local kind of metaphysical store or wellness center or something like that. Locally, I would suggest maybe looking into that for more hands-on type stuff. I read a lot, and I started but never finished. The Chestnut, was it the Chestnut School of Herbal Medicine or something like that? Chestnut, I don't know. I'd have to find the link to it. If you search for like Chestnut College of Herbalism or School of Herbalism, it'll probably come up. They have some herbalism classes. I wish I would have just taken the medicinal, like the herbal medicine making portion of it, but I took the immersion program and I never finished it because like it's set up in a way that you can't like. I've been living in the city, And like I don't have ways to do experiments with soil propagation or things like that. Like I don't have the access to things to do some of the exercises in order to finish it. So it is on my list of things to really go through, but I did more specialty stuff on like the poison path. Um, it really depends on what aspect of herbalism that you're interested in, because it's a vast topic. Like, there's a whole difference is in if you want to learn like the therapeutic application of making, healing salves and tinctures and stuff like that, versus if you just want to, understand more about herbs for, witchcraft and occult purposes, or if you're looking at the poison path specialty or something like that. So hope that answers your question. Oh, Jennifer, are you a pinkish dragon in the astral? I don't know. I don't think I am, but I don't know that I'm also not. Um, That'd be funny if I was a pink dragon. um, but it's one of those things like in the astral. Like I sometimes forget to look at myself, so I don't always know how I appear on the astral, and I may very well just appear, differently to others. Like I'm always kind of like in the first person shooter kind of game aspect of that's, when I'm doing astral work, that's kind of how I view it. So that is a good question. Maybe I'll put a big mirror wall in my astral temple, just so I know. Um, oh yeah, severe heat warning down there. Sorry to hear that, Soaring. Yeah, like I don't mind the heat of like the Southwest, like in Arizona or like San Diego, that kind of heat. Well, Arizona specifically. Although it was very weird when I went to Arizona, because I went there in like February, and it's really hard to pack. I'm like, well, before I was going there, I was like, what's the weather going to be like? And it's like, well, you can expect it to be 85 degrees during the day and 40 something at night. I'm like, how does one pack for that? We're talking like a 40-degree differential here. Come on. I'm like, you mean to tell me I could be like out at the swimming pool all day and then have to like, bundle up at night? That's weird. But I guess like in the desert, it gets kind of cool at night, I guess. I'm trying to remember. It was several years ago that I was there. Okay, it was just the face. Hi, Xander. How are you? I'm just chilling like a villain. Excuse me. Moon passed out on the floor. She's asleep. And Corey is on a pile of pillows facing the wall. I guess he's mad at me or something. Yes, this is the... I switched locations just because I had my laptop over here, and I just didn't feel like moving my laptop from here to over there, because I normally film over there in that corner. So I just was like, so I just dragged the light over here. It's easier. Also, I've been like in the middle of like trying to pack things up. So there's a big box of books that's really heavy on the floor. Oh, thank you, Xander. Yeah. Send Corey some good kitty vibes because he's getting his teeth cleaned on Tuesday, and they have to put him under for that. He might need he might need some extractions as well. So, send him some good kitty vibes. Right, Bubby? You're gonna not be very happy with me when I have to. Ugh. I'm not looking forward to his appointment simply because I have to get him there by 8:15 in the morning, and there is at least an hour drive away, and given that time of day, probably longer because I am going to have to be driving through rush hour traffic. And if you were paying attention earlier, remember how I said I-95 had that issue? It might be fixed by Monday that it's reopened, or the temporary fix is reopened from the part of the highway that collapsed. But it's like it might end up being longer than an hour drive, but I don't also know how long it's going to take. So I'm sitting here thinking, like, all right, even if it's just a flat hour. So I drive up an hour, drive back an hour, and then drive back for another hour because I don't know how long it's going to take. And then I drive back for another hour and then have to drive back. I'm like, do I really want to spend 4 hours on the road just driving back and forth? So I'm trying to figure out what to do during the day. Like there's a big outlet mall up there, but let me just like go sleep in my car or something. I'm not I am not a morning person. I accidentally woke up at 6 a.m. the other day, and it really fucked me up for the entire day because all I kept doing was like, I need to go back to sleep, and I take a nap, and I wake up and do something. I need more sleep. Yeah, I've had more dental surgery and dental stuff done than I can shake a stick at this point. I've probably had um out of pocket, as is with insurance, I've probably had over $20,000 worth of dental work since in the past. Well, I mean, in the past 18 years, but still a lot. Yeah, I'm usually up to about 3, sometimes 4, depending on the night. I went to bed a little earlier last night because I took an Amanita gummy, and those just knock you the fuck out after a while. Yeah, I don't even know at this point like which of my teeth are real anymore. I'm like, I don't think any of my upper molars or maybe one or two might actually be real. Um, I'm glad though that they do crowns and implants now because dentures are really creepy. Like they're just, I don't know, there's something about dentures that just like they just make me gag. So I can't even imagine wearing them because just looking at them, like I used to work in the hospital, so a lot of times, like when I'm doing patient care and stuff, they would pop their dentures out and I put it in the denture thing with the. There's weird things that gross me out like that for absolutely no reason. Starting cold water therapy. Why not it for him? Never tried. What is cold water therapy? I've never. I mean, I like a good bath, but I'm not going to take a cold bath. Have you ever taken online herbalism course? I watched a video about people getting ripped off while trying to get certified. I mean, the thing with the certifications is that it really depends on the place. Like a lot of places hand out certifications. It like in the aromatherapy world, and I don't know if this has changed in the herbalism world. Like in the aromatherapy world, there are accredited like administrative organizations, like I think NAHA was one, the National something of Holistic Aromatherapist, Association of Holistic Aromatherapists, and there was AIA, which is the something international association of international aromatherapists, maybe. But there's sort of governing bodies that dictate the terms of the things that you have to do to get the certification for that. Like I've done all the work for my clinical aromatherapy certification. I've been procrastinating on writing a paper and doing 14 case studies for the past 4 years. Some of them are different. Like the certification program, like I think technically for herbalism, I don't know that there is really a in the United States, at least I don't know that there is necessarily a particular like governing body organization that like does like official certifications. Like you can get certifications from from whatever organization. I would just make sure that they are um a legit organization, like the Chestnut. What is it called? Hold on. It's bothering me that I don't remember. Chestnut. Is it that one? I'll put the link in. Nope, that's the wrong button. This is the one that I did the I don't know, I haven't looked at them in a while. So from that I would suggest the online herbal medicine making course. If you're into the foraging and of edible and medicinal wild herb course might be good if that's a particular thing. I did the online immersion program, and it was just like it was a little too much. I'm trying to see if there's gives you yeah, it's about 1,000 hours of work, but like a lot of it was really good information, like, the foundations, herbal safety. It's just when we started getting down to soil propagation, stuff like that, that it kind of got a little out, or plant propagation, more about soil, that it got a little bit out of my wheelhouse for being able to get to do the work for it. Otherwise, this particular program is very focused on like the therapeutic uses, like the modules in this are like herbs for the respiratory system or nervous system, things like that, systemic kind of things, the medicine making, looking at, the food aspect of it, like making things like infused vinegars and fire ciders, and stuff like that. I actually did that for a while. Making herbal infused honey is really good. Just very messy. But there's a lot of like, you can make herbal cocktails and stuff like that as well. And this one goes into like some like, making, like bath salts and body lotions and things like that. I mean, it's a lot of information. It's really good. And it goes a little bit into like the bit of the business aspect of it as well. It's just a very, very intense program. Do you have any advice for working with Datura or Mandragora? Um, in what sense? Because I well, I will give you this mandrake roots, European mandrake, which is the Mandragora officinarum or autumnalis. I mean, there's different species of it, but you want to make sure you definitely have European mandrake, because what gets sold in stores as American mandrake isn't even a true mandrake, and it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's a purgative. So unless you want to barf and shit yourself silly, it doesn't have a whole lot of use. At least in like the entheogenic areas. Um, but working with mandrake root, if you need to do anything with it, is very hard to cut. I get mine from a farm in New York State, and so they're usually in like half-ounce chunks. And even then, like the only way, and I'm going to thank S. Conley's Wort Cunning for Demonolatry book for that. The best thing to do with that, if you need to crush it up, is to put it in a bag and bash it with a hammer, because like I even got a saw and I couldn't cut it. So, yeah, mandrake. It's from what I understand. I'm not good at growing herbs, but again, it's also the space and living in the city and stuff like that. It can take a very long time, and from what I understand, mandrake especially is a very persnickety plant to grow. It's one of those ones, if you look at it the wrong way, it might just be like, I'm dead now. But it also depends on, where some areas, depending on what like zone you're in when it comes to like, the native, flora and fauna of that region. It might just be that, some areas are better, more equipped to grow it than others. All I know is if you're growing mandrake, you're sitting on a gold mine because that stuff is expensive. Like, God. I mean, people sell whole mandrake roots for like hundreds of dollars. Um, I'm trying to think like what. Yeah, I think the ones I get are about 25 an ounce. So, figure what a pound would cost at that. Datura, I mean, like sometimes it just depends on what you're planning on doing with it. Like I would advise not eating a whole handful of raw datura seeds and tripping your face off, because I've heard it's really not. That's what you see a lot of times when you watch videos on YouTube and you see these bad trip reports, is like people draw or people will eat the raw seeds or the dried seeds, and then they're like, have like the literal worst trip ever. Yeah, I think Europe is probably more uh friendly, and like for it's probably a little more, it's the word I'm looking for, moist. Depending where you are in Europe, unless it's like, well, I mean, Italy's pretty humid, so um and I mean, I guess Eastern Europe would be a little colder, but um yeah, like I think it tends to be a little wetter in Europe, as far as the soil goes, from what I remember. But like as opposed to like Texas, which is pretty much a desert. So, but like in the States, depending, I think the Stramonium does grow in the Southwest. It's also classified as a noxious weed, because a lot of times it just will, grow up on the sides of roads and stuff like that. Um, so, um, mandrake seeds. Yeah, I don't know. Like that might be something where you would need to grow it inside. I find with the seeds, trying to remember, there's a particular way you have to. I think you might have to prick the seeds open a little bit. I forget. I tried growing some and I did not succeed at all in getting anything to come through. So, um, and there is some mythology and lore around mandrake. Like, some people will sing to their mandrakes and stuff like that. So I am by no means an expert on growing things. I'm actually quite terrible at it most of the time. But hey, when I move out of the city, maybe I can actually try to grow things. That would be awesome. Although I've lived in places where I had yards before and never really managed to grow anything. But my mom's good at it, so maybe my mom can come over and help me plant stuff. She used to work at a home and garden center before she retired, so she's got the green thumbs. Me, I've got doom thumbs that will kill anything. You're in the mountains of Portugal, very wet, cold winters, boiling summers. Mandrake is super stubborn, yeah. Yeah, that's what I've heard. You have to sing to your mandrake. um, yeah, they do sell some good lights and stuff like that. I've gotten some before on Amazon. I did try to grow stuff, and I eventually just kind of uh, gave my plants away. I was like, my plants had to go through like I got reported to plant protection services. They got rehomed. Um, Yeah, some of them also take like a particular kind of light, or like only to, like I think if I'm remember correctly, Mandrake, it's like specific amount of light, like just enough, not too much and not too little. I am working on that. Yeah, I like Kobe. I spoke at he does the Botanica Obscura conference, and I spoke at that. Well, it was online, but I spoke at that earlier this year. But yeah, Poisoner's Apothecary. I highly recommend his work. I think he has another one coming out soon. I just forget the title of it. Um, I haven't read it in full, but I'm I am notorious for like reading like 10 books at the same time. So I have to pull that one. That's gonna get pulled out into my books to keep aside and not pack. Because I assume I will be getting some reading done when I'm at my parents' house at least. Apparently using the word grow in your Amazon search will just get you ripped off. Yeah. Honestly, I find I I am really hesitant to buy anything electronic on Amazon because about 90% of it is cheap Chinese crap that doesn't work or breaks in like 10 minutes. Like I've had to return just about everything I've bought on Amazon, like that's electronic, like or even well, actually one of the interesting ones. I have a like a really high end DSLR digital camera, and I am notorious for losing chargers, and I could not find the battery charger for it, so I ordered one on Amazon. It said it was a Canon charger, brand and all. It came here looking like a Canon charger and stuff like that. However many, maybe 6 months later, I get this email from Amazon. Please throw away your charger that you got. We're refunding you in full. This company was not selling actual Canon. They just kind of threw the Canon logo on it, but it was not the brand it said it was. So, but again, a lot of it's just cheap Chinese crap. Like when I first started my YouTube channel, like I was looking around for like like handheld, like video camera for and I was one like, oh, this one's great for like streaming YouTubers, whatever, not too expensive. And it was terrible. Like when I would record videos on it, it would like the audio and my lips moving was always out of sync. The sound quality was terrible. Um and I had by the time I had like started experimenting with this, I had missed the window of being able to return it. So I left them a 3-star review of how terrible this thing was, and I was generous with the 3 stars, could have given them 1. They badgered me for months to change it to a 5-star review. They're like, we'll give you $50 if you change it to a 5-star review. I'm like, okay, no. I mean, I same thing. I got like a webcam from it that like, I'm like, I normally webcams, you just kind of plug them in and they work. This thing would not, like, I sounded like I was trying to record, like, it was just so staticky. No matter what settings I used, it was awful. So, and it's just like, and every time I do this, I'm like, I give something a chance and then I have to return it. Like, even I got this makeup brush cleaner thing that actually worked really well for the whole 10-15 minutes it worked before it stopped working. Um, so my makeup brushes are at least clean, but I returned it because I'm like, why do you make something that you put in water that is going to break if you get water in it? Like literally, like it worked for 15 minutes. And then I'm like, well, I have to return this. Um, so yeah, I'm like, I just don't like unless like if the brand name does not make any sense to me, I'm not ordering it. Like if I know I'm ordering a Canon thing, or then sometimes you have to look at the prices on it. If you're ordering a Canon charger and they're only charging you $20 for it, it's probably not actually a Canon charger. It's probably just something, uh, with a knockoff with the Canon logo on it. Yeah, the intellectual theft is so. I actually a friend of a friend who's a clothing designer. She's a small, business. Um, I think it's called Waxing Poetic, but yeah, she just posted like Shine ripped off one of her designs, and they're gonna make thousands and thousands of dollars, if not more, on the design that they ripped off from someone who is like a small business owner like me, and they sell them on these sites, and people buy their cheap crap because they like cheap crap, and yeah, yeah, Xander, that's the same thing. Zian Biao Biao. Yeah. So like, unless you recognize the name of something, because I've gotten a mouse, because I'm a mouse person when it comes to laptops, but I don't use the Mac one more. Really, honestly, I use it for like recording videos, but it's like I got a Mac compatible mouse for it, and the thing like barely worked. I don't even use it at this point, but it's like I know if I want to get a mouse for this that works with this laptop, I just need to go to the Apple store and get a freaking $50 mouse or something. But yeah, there's just so well, one thing that's interesting, because I have a lot of international customers. So I was talking to someone, I forget what country they were in Europe. It was somewhere I talked to in the past month or so. And because a lot of times, like, people like y'all get really screwed on like customs and import taxes and stuff like that, depending on what country you're in. And it's like, I feel terrible. I mean, there's not a lot I can do about it. I mean, like, but it sucks. Like, you guys really, like, if you buy something for $100, you're probably going to be paying $100 or close to it in, VAT taxes and customs and import fees and stuff like that. It's so ridiculous. Like, I felt bad. Like, I used to send a colleague of mine presents in Germany. It's like, and then he'd have to, like, I'm like, I felt so terrible. Like, I sent him a Christmas present one year and he had to pay like $50 to get it. I'm like, sorry. But the thought on that is, in a lot of the countries in Europe, they want to keep the revenue and the goods within the country, that, they want you buying from people who, if you're in Switzerland, they want you to buy from people who are making things in Switzerland or in the EU, at least. And it's so different here, because we like, if I ordered a lot of stuff from Europe. I have a couple of my suppliers there. I just order it and it comes here. We don't have to pay anything. There's no taxes, no import stuff. I mean, at most I might have to sign for something, but that's about it. Um, and, well, yeah, the shipping is also another issue, but it's so the tax thing is just so ridiculous, and it's very different for each country. um and the like I had trouble, like, I couldn't figure out for the longest time why every single thing I sent to like Sweden, Norway, or Finland always got shipped back to me. And I eventually figured out, or someone told me, that for those countries, you have to put an invoice on the back of the package for it to actually get through customs and go to where it's going. I'm like, oh. And once I did that, I haven't had any issues, knock on wood. Like, some countries I had to suspend shipping to. South Africa, I cannot ship to South Africa. Every single thing I've shipped there, their postal system is such a hot mess that no one actually gets their stuff delivered through it. Like, I will send something there and I will literally get it back in the mail a year or a year and a half later, as unclaimed or whatever. But um Yeah, but like I have a friend there in South Africa, and a lot like in order to get stuff, you have to use like private couriers like DHL, like or FedEx, and it's expensive. Like it costs like over $200 for me to send via FedEx to South Africa. Yeah, yeah, it's so expensive. And like the what was I gonna say? Yeah, like I mean shipping a lot of it's weight based, so it really depends on how much it weighs. Um but yeah, like I think yeah, that sounds about right. About $15 to $20 for, one thing. Oh yeah, it's the postal system is such a mess. And I know that because I talk to my regular carrier a fair amount um about things because I was this was in a I'm in an Etsy sellers group on Facebook, and it's like, hi Dylan. Yeah, like like talking to people, it's just sort of like, and I was kind of like confused by some of the other sellers who were like, I'm like, y'all not realize how fucked up the U.S. postal system is? Like, I generally, I mean, when I get an order, and just because I keep weird hours, like generally speaking, like if this was Monday and you placed an order on Monday, most likely I'm going to print out the shipping label, pack the order, put it in Tuesday's mail, or because I get my mail picked up by the post office. And sometimes, depending on who picks up my mail, they scan it right away. Other times they don't. And it doesn't get scanned until it gets out to the regional distribution center. So what we were talking about with that is like when a label shows as pre-transit for, however long, or shipping label created, item not yet received, or in pre-transit or whatever. And it's like I was trying to explain, I'm like, I can't always go to the post office every day, and I'm not going to stand, like, I mean, especially for here in the city where I'm at. um I can't stand in a line that's like 15 to 20 people deep with one window open, and then probably have another 10 people behind me, and then have them scan like 30 packages in, and get a thing. Not unless I want to get like, there's a reason Philadelphia is was voted the rudest city, because it is. Because shit like that will get you stabbed. So even when I go to the post office, I just drop it through like the mail window, and then they scan it at some point in time. Um, but I have to do what works for me, just with the chronic pain and mobility and stuff. And also, like, not for nothing, I'd rather not have to waste an hour of my day going to the post office, standing at the post office and doing that. Because I have other things to do and it's exhausting. So by the time I would get home from that, I would need a 2-hour nap. But yeah, the post office is a mess. And like, I know when I've talked, well, currently my regular carrier is out on a medical leave. So I have one main substitute. I think it's just because she's out longer. There's one substitute that mostly is here every day. He's been fine. It's just the times when there's a different substitute uh, mail carrier on the route every day, like someone different every day. Because like sometimes, and she complains about them too, like literally they get a little slip that says they have to pick up the mail, which is always on my porch by 10 a.m. And they'll scan the thing to make it look like they picked up the mail, and then they just leave it on top with all the packages here, and not take them. I've had that happen a couple times. I'm like, so it's like, even though they're hiring new people, she's like, oh my god, these people are horrible. She's like, whenever she takes time off, she's like, you have no idea the shit show I come back to. It's like, there was a house fire across the street earlier. They're still delivering mail to the house that like burnt down, basically. She's like, they dumb. She's like, there'd be zombies all over the place. They'll still be delivered in the mail there. Flower essences, so in working with flower essences, what I find to be beneficial with that is if you're really wanting to like connect with the plant spirit, they're really good for that. Or you want the energetic of a plant in something. The process for them is very different than say a tincture. Because like for when I make a tincture, I take the grain alcohol, I put all the materials in there, it marinates and infuses for about a month, and then I strain and dilute it. So you're getting more of that, more potency in that. Whereas the flower essence is you basically kind of there's different methods of it depending on the type of. So say this was filled with mugwort, or you would have a bowl of water. What they do for flower essences, they usually would you either do it one of two ways. You take the bowl of water, you put the mugwort would be probably fine to put in the water directly, and then it kind of gets charged by the sunlight for a particular amount of time. I do crystal essences like that. What you end up doing then with that is you get what they call the mother essence. So that is the condensed flower essence is the mother essence. So when you sell like any of the flower essences you're going to buy online or at a store or something like that, you're going to get, so say a bottle like this, it's usually they're in water or an alcohol base. And what they do is they put like say 10 drops of the mother essence in there and then dilute it with that. So it's not really something that is going to have a lot of, at least in my experience. I mean, I've tried ones from different places that is going to have a major entheogenic kick, but like they do serve their purpose. Like I make crystal essences, which is a similar. You're really wanting to capture the energetic of the plant material in the same way like with the crystal essence. So what I do with a crystal essence is I take like say a big mason jar or like a lot bigger jars, and there's a couple methods you do for it because not all crystals are water safe. So what I do with those is I will either do the direct method would be, okay, I'm just gonna throw my rose quartz in the water, put it in the window. There's a methodical chart based upon the time of year, the amount of sunlight you're getting, is it, cloudy? So the amount of hours you charge it in the sunlight to get the essence of that crystal energy into the water. And then again, you dilute it with like a grain alcohol. So you can also do the indirect method, which would kind of be like, taking the jar and putting like a bowl or another jar inside it that has the crystals in it if they're not water safe, because some crystals like cinnabar has mercury in it. You don't want to be handling and getting mercury in the water, or some will leach things like arsenic or heavy metals or lead or aluminum and stuff. So not all crystals are water safe to do it that way. So that's what I do with that. And that is getting where that's useful in a practice, especially for the crystal stuff, is you can get the energy of that crystal through the water and then use it in something like, a spray or whatever. So I've done that with a few, like the transmutation spray. I think I've done that with the Mercury retrograde one and the crystal grid one, I think. And you just make the thing. I add them to other So in order to make like the sprays I did like for the transmutation ones, it's like I take the crystal essences and I add them with some spring water, a preservative, some essential oils. Sometimes I'll put like some little crystals and water safe crystals in the bottle, that sort of thing. So it's really, to summarize, it's really whether it's a flower essence or crystal essence, you're really kind of, they're more energetic. And like if you really want to, like when I had taken was it Catherine Soley? She did her website or business is Persephone's Path, I think. And she does some poison path stuff. It's just she's very different than a lot of the other ones. So she does work with a lot of flower essences. But I think like I took like her intro and like level 1 poison medicine class, and like a lot of it was journeying with like flower essences and stuff to kind of connect with that plant spirit, which is great. I mean, it's something I really actually need to do more of myself. It's been a hot minute. I need to reconnect with my plants. So I hope that answered your question in a long and rambling way. But I mean, if you're interested, hi Moon, hello, what's up, baby girl? Yeah, there's a couple places I've gotten herbal essences from, or flower essences from, that are pretty decent. And I do use a couple of them in, or at least the aconite one I use in one of my protection sprays. But like with some things like aconite that are so highly toxic, that's like one good way to experience it. And because aconite, wolfsbane, it's one of those you'll read. I always say it's like you'll see articles every now and then. Farmer brushes past some aconite and dies. It's very very toxic on all levels. Um, like even to inhale the particulate from it, so it's very hard to work with aconite safely. So a lot of times now, how I talked about the indirect method with the crystals. So for something like aconite, what they would do is probably have the water bowl here and then have like the plant or the flowers from it in a separate thing next to that bowl, to get, or floating inside that, to get sort of to kind of extract the energetics and stuff. So but yeah, for me, I guess I just didn't really connect with the flower essences as much, but it's also about what you're expecting out of it too. Like I mean, I get a lot of questions I get around the flying and ointments and stuff is kind of like, people are kind of expecting some sort of like the trip balls or ayahuasca experience. I'm like, it's not like that. It's like, there are limits to what I can sell legally and have it be safe. Because when you're working with any of like toxic plants and the poison path stuff, like understanding what they call the LD50, which is the lethal dose. It's okay, how much of this is going to be lethal to 50% of the population, and then not doing that. So you want to stay under that LD50, well, pretty far under it. I mean, it's various. It goes. Yeah, it depends. And thankfully, I had a couple local witchy people, authors and stuff, who helped me out early on, answering my weird questions of like, okay, I made this tincture. How much do I dilute it now? But I feel like the poison path stuff's grown a little bit more in popularity, especially with like the psychedelic medicine movement. So there's a lot more accessible information now, because a lot of it was, I mean, I get it too for like safety purposes. You don't just want people willy-nilly fucking around with like belladonna, um, and not knowing what they're doing. Do I have a favorite flower essence? Um, I know. I'm trying to think which ones I have. I have one of the ones from Banefolk. That was like a Nightshade one. That was a blend that she did. Trying to remember the other place. I have an Aconite one. That one I like. I do use that in a couple things. I think I have a Foxglove one as well. One of the things you do, depending, I've run into this with my own stuff as well. Depending on the type of dropper bottle, like I've seen this happen. Like you get some evaporation with flower essences and tinctures and stuff like that. Like every once in a while, I'll go upstairs to grab a tincture. I'm like, why is it half empty? And I have to combine. Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name of the place I got the aconite flower essence from. I'd probably have to find it. It's over there. I know Persephone's Path sells flower essences. The Jagged Path does as well. I have some of their herbal like digestive bitters too from Jagged Path. Um, Poisoner's Apothecary might. They kind of switch out what they sell from time to time and whatnot. So, although what I really love, I haven't ordered from them in a while, but Emporium Black does edible the person is a chocolatier and like chef, like I guess pastry chef, so they make like chocolate truffles that have like belladonna, datura, fly agaric, and all kinds of stuff in them that are amazing. Expensive, but amazing. And now I want to order more. Hold on. I'm just gonna pull up the website so like it's on my list of things when I have money to do. But yeah, I highly recommend Emporium Black. I've ordered from them multiple times. Like they do sampler packs and stuff like that, but like it's not cheap, you know. Like per like chocolate truffle, and they're fairly sized. They're usually about like well, it looks like they're on sale, but they're usually about $11 to $15. But you know, to get a Datura, Bermondsey, Henbane, Amanita Muscara, and Strawberry. That sounds really freaking good. What was the one I liked? There was the Belladonna Rose Truffle. Oh no, they're sold out of that. That makes me so sad. That's my favorite one. Because I love the rose flavor in it. But yeah, the chocolate truffles are really good. Have have I ever worked with Stolas? Have I? I don't think so. I am not sure. Yeah, I mean, like I haven't worked my way through the entirety of the Goetia, like, or and a lot of the demons kind of overlap with other grimoires and stuff like that as well. Seem to have a lot in common with knowledge of. Yeah, I mean, I've spent just a lot of time learning all this stuff. Like, I'm just a gigantic nerd for. I mean, if you go to like my About Me page, like how many certifications, classes, and workshops I've like taken is ridiculous, and I keep taking more. And there's some I have to finish still. Um, but yeah, I'm always learning, want to learn something new and to enhance my skills. So because I mean, it just brings an extra layer of awesomeness to my products. And also, like I'm someone who kind of wants to understand how things work, not just this crystal is good for blah blah blah. but like understanding like why crystals have energy and like understanding all of that, like the science of it. The same thing with the science of like herbs and essential oils. Like I'm a gigantic nerd for that, because a lot of it, like I had to learn a lot of like plant chemistry and biology to understand all of that. And it's really kind of mind blowing at times, like just how much. Did you ever bother with spirits that teach about herbs and minerals? That's why yeah, there's several from the Goetia at least that do teach about herbs and minerals. I don't know if I've ever worked with any of them directly on that. Like, I mean, there may be some that are working behind the scenes for me, and I don't know. Um, that'd be interesting. I'm curious about how to like if that would enhance anything for me to like work with them on that. I think for me it would be more of a like getting the knowledge that's all up here in my squishy brain space out in a way that I could teach it. Um because like sometimes for me it's just with the neurodivergence and stuff, like it's hard for me to like all the information's up there. It's just like accessing it and getting it out in some sort of like cogent format that other people would understand who don't like live in my crazy brain. That's a whole other story. Um, so maybe that would be something an area, something with like working with communication and knowledge of that. So and my brain just went completely like blank. Blank. So yeah, I'm always, I'm always learning, learning new things, or going down different rabbit holes, or revisiting stuff. Like sometimes, like out of nowhere, something will come back up and come back around, and I'm like, okay, I got to work on that now, even though I dropped off on this like 2 years ago. Like that was one of the things that I'm revisiting now. I may have talked about this in a recent video, but there were some new developments. I'm just trying to find. So, like, I know I've showed these like a million times, like how I do all these like channel like sigils and stuff like this, and that I've been doing them for like 30 years, some years. Um, but I started doing some work on it with another person to kind of start trying to translate some of them. So, um, that's something like I need to like that I'm working on revisiting right now. That I dropped off on like 2 years ago. Um, what goetic evocation method are you? I don't really do anything from the Goetia, to be honest. Like I don't know if it's just like I've had to adapt a lot of my practices just based upon the chronic pain. I sat on the floor for half an hour the other night to do a ritual and ruined my entire life. I was in a lot of pain afterwards. Like there's times like if I sit on the floor for like a half an hour and get up, I will just fall over. So I've had to adapt a lot of my practices around my neurospicy brain, number one, and also my ability to physically do some of the rituals in the way that I mean I really don't do a lot. I just ceremonial magic just does not appeal to my there's something about it to me, like some of the ceremonial magic stuff that becomes like a math problem. And like I equate it in a similar way of like, this is about as fun as doing algebra. I don't want to do it. So I've just developed my own ways of doing evocation or spirit communication, summoning. A lot of it I incorporate through like working with energy, like through Reiki and stuff like that to kind of connect through and sort of do the evocations in an energetic way that way. Um, yeah, maybe it really depends. I mean, I would actually have to go back and like look at. I just read them earlier this year, but like I just don't retain ritual information or some things like that very well. Like I found for me, like regardless of the ritual I'm doing, is that like I've read a ton of books and they all have like various rituals in them. And most of the time, I just want to do things my own way. Like I might take elements from different people's rituals, like, oh, I like that idea, or I like this. Okay, I'll use that kind of candle, or every once in a while I'll find an incantation I like. But yeah, I would definitely recommend S. Conley's work. I love the rituals that she includes in her books because they're very accessible and they aren't, like sometimes when you look at like these rituals and books, I'm like, the fuck, I'm gonna do this for 6 months straight, and I need to get 25 different things for this and stuff. Like her rituals are very, and you can build on them obviously, but like I find that I like that her rituals are very accessible. That you don't need to be, hurling your ceremonial sword around and doing all this other stuff that you can adapt it to where you're at in your practices. It doesn't have to we don't have, like, sometimes we overcomplicate things in rituals. Like a lot of times I'm always like, am I doing this because it needs to be done, or I'm doing this because I think it needs to be done, or someone told me it needs to be done? Um, I think a lot of it comes down to building the relationships with the spirits that you're working with or attempting to work with. Like if I wanted to start working with Stolas, I would probably sometimes I've had other entities act as an intermediary for me that would like say introduce me to that entity. Like for me, Lilith mostly, like I started working with Lucifer through Lilith. I started working with other ones through Lucifer and Lilith. Um, sometimes on their own if it's accessible in that way. So like if I wanted to work with Stolas, I would probably, meditate and try to kind of connect at least on an energetic wavelength first. And if I wasn't having any luck with that, I might like work with um another, like I would work with Lucifer and then see if I could get Lucifer would introduce me to Stolas. Because I've done that, and when I've had to channel things for clients with spirits, I haven't really worked with a whole lot. Like I did that with like Bune, I think for someone. Um, yeah, I could see that. Yeah, Mammon's energy alongside Belial. Yeah, sometimes like I was just working with Abaddon yesterday, and like Santa Muerte popped up, and she does not like to work with other entities. So I was like, holy shit. Like, what's going on here? And I'm like, this must be some big shit here. Because yeah, she does not work with other spirits. Like she will, but she's just a very, very different entity than a lot of the other ones. Um I like working with Belial and Azazel together. They're a hoot. Oh my god, those two together are hilarious to work with. But also too, if you are doing anything on the like You probably like on the junk DNA or the DNA manipulation, how they like kind of energetically change you and stuff like that. Those two are really great to work with on that. Belial really likes to annoy Azazel, which is just funny. Do I scry? Sometimes. My preference is to do smoke scrying. And usually what I do, like with incense, what I do when I smoke scry a lot of times is I will do like a whole burst of photos or do a slow motion video so I can kind of go back and like see like and like isolate and capture things. Occasionally I'll do fire scrying. I don't do it that much simply because again where I live, and if I burn anything that's really burny inside, my smoke detectors are going to go off just from the, even if it's not making smoke, they're going to go off from the heat. So I've done some combination like mirror and smoke scrying at the same time, which has been interesting, like a black mirror. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can do scrying. With mirrors, like the black obsidian ones are great. Or you could just, kind of. I think some people have, like spray painted the backs of them or something like that. Um, Smoke scrying, fire scrying. I have occasionally done like, oh look, I have a whole bunch of herbs in a, that I swept off the counter, and and as I swept off the counter, they made a cool spot, sort of thing that looked like it was sending me a message in some way. So I've done that too. I would assume that would be, what is the term for tasiomancy, which is like the tea scrying, the tea leaf reading. Oh, moon, you sleeping? Oh, baby girl, my cat. Wow, my cats are like passed the fuck out. I'm gonna wake them up because they're cute. Hi, Moon. Hi, Moon. Hi, Moon. Oh, baby girl, you're so cute. Come here. Come here. Hi, buddy. Oh, did I wake you up? Corey gets grumpy if he's woken up. You're like your mommy in that sense. I get grumpy when I'm woken up too. Moon just is like extra cute if you wake her up. So, yes. And that's the update on my cats. Do you have do you have to master astral travel before? No, before you can start path working. Yeah, astral travel is always one of those things that's just going to kind of be a work in progress. Like there's times I can just go and astral travel, and other times I'm like, wow, I'm really failing hard at this. Because also too, sometimes for me, like with the ADHD, the ooh shiny of it all, like I just will get distracted. Um, I'll be there, and then suddenly I'll be like, oh yeah, I forgot to do this and that, and then having an imaginary conversation in my head with someone that I'm like, oh yeah, I need to tell this person that thing. So here's the conversation I'm going to pre-plan in my head for that. Then I come back and I'm like, oh, sorry. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways. Robert Bruce's work is really excellent for that. If you look up, I think Astral Dynamics is the book he had. He does have some free courses on his website. Let me see if I can find that. But yeah, Robert Bruce's techniques are really good for like learning astral travel and stuff like that. Excuse me. And he's got like a really calm like voice, so I haven't started really on. I mean, I'm familiar with the Cliff Off. I just haven't really. It's not pulling me there yet. Like I'll know when I get there. What's interesting though, because I was showing at the beginning of the video, is I just got Mark Allen Smith's from the Primal Craft, the Queen of Hell book. Um, and actually arrived pretty fast considering I think it was sent from Spain, Mallorca. But also has sort of the, you know, whether you want to go Tree of Life, Tree of Death for the Primal Craft, which is he calls it the Throne of Hecate, the Gate of the Dark Star, Gate of Thaumiel Moon. So at the top you have Thaumiel, which is Lucifer, then Setariel, which is Lucifuge Raphael, Gagliel, which is Belial. In the middle you have Doth and Cerberus, then Golashab, which is Hasmodai, Ga Ashibla, which is Estroth, Thagirion, which is Belphegor, Samael, which is Amdramalek, Arab Zarak, which is Baal, Gamaliel, which is Lilith, and then Lilith Nama at the bottom. So I'm just starting to work through this. So I do have Asenath Mason's Clifothic Meditations. I started to like kind of go through that a little bit and dropped off whenever that was. But I don't know. Like it's not called the cliff off stuff isn't really calling me yet. It's there. It'll come knocking sooner or later. Yeah, I mean, you can work with like if you're working within Lilith's realm, it's going to be part of the cliff off, but you don't really have to do the entire, cliff off, all the different spheres and the path working with it in that sense, and then the tunnels of Set and things like that. So that's just a much broader working. Um, like I kind of go through different phases, like with each year, with kind of what the new thing is I incorporate or learn. Like over the past 2 years, I incorporated a lot more with energy work, with like Reiki, some of the core shamanic healing practices, and like crystal healing and stuff like that. So, because that's where I felt called to pull that knowledge base in. Um, this year, I feel like, well, with I'm working on the primal craft stuff, and then also revisiting some things from previous years, like the past life regressions with the language and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean that's the thing too. It does take a long time to get through um, the Kabbalistic tree of life and the Clifothic tree of death. I'll get there or not. Yeah, I've been feeling a little more drawn to like chaos magic this year and learning a little bit more about that. Um, Hi, how are you doing from the Cauldron Witch? Good to see you. Will I ever take an apprentice? Um, I I don't know. I'd like to teach at some point, but it's not necessarily my strong suit. I need to kind of get through the rest of this year and kind of figure out where I'm at on things, and like how to expand my business because thank you. Um, it's it's a lot to manage the volume that I have for my business on my own. But then you also it's like there's always that weird stuck place you get in your business growth and plateau where you're like, okay, to get to the next level, I would need to hire more help, but in order to hire more help, I need more revenue. So it's like you get stuck in this weird gray area where you're like, I would like to do more, but I can't because, this, that, and the other thing. Now, getting out of the city, like right now, my priority is like selling this house and moving. So I would say, if I'm looking into anything with like doing like an apprenticeship or an apprentice program or some kind of teaching. I'm not going to really have time to give it thought until probably next year. Um, it's one of those things I've always wanted to do. I just don't know that I'd make a really great teacher. Um, though I haven't really tried. So, uh, you know, it's like if I could offload a lot of like the admin stuff and, like packing the orders and things like that, some of that stuff. That would free up more space because even like right now when I have to do like consultations or like readings and stuff like that, it can just take me a while to like have the time to do that. Because there's an unpredictability level to like the sales volume and stuff like that. Like this week's been pretty quiet. So I've been able to like keep on top of things and have a little free time for myself and also to like clean and start packing. But then there's other weeks where it's like I've run out of everything. I get like a bunch of wholesale orders in all at the same time, and I'm like, and like suddenly I've got to make 10 different things a day, and it's just like those weeks are really hard because if I was doing something that was more like on a schedule, it'd be really hard to just be like, okay, now I'm going to shift into class, into like teaching mode and stuff like that. But I mean, I definitely would. I just don't know exactly. I mean, so what I would have to think about, and that is sort of like how to frame it in not being a complete chaotic clusterfuck. Because I tend to roll in complete chaotic clusterfuck mode. So, um, that's a thing. Yeah, I hear that. I, I I spent the whole day cleaning and organizing and trying to declutter, and it still looks like a tornado went through the rest of my house. Um, at least what you can see behind me isn't too terrible. Like I cleared out a lot of things, so now I have like 5 different shelving and rolly wheel cart units that can be dispersed elsewhere in the house. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting few months, that's for sure. I really want a yard where I can have a fire pit. That would be so much fun. I could do outdoor rituals. Yeah, I kind of had some ongoing stuff for the new moon that I was working on. As you can see, my candle is still burning. It's fairly low at this point, but I started that the night before yesterday or very late, early. I don't know. I'm on a different timeline than everyone else. Um, but yeah, it was a ritual that I was doing. Speaking of which, there's a cool book I picked up. We're gonna go into book time with Jen because I'm a nerd. This is a really cool book I picked up called Poetry is Spellcasting. And one of the reasons I picked this up, I mean, it's got like a lot of writing prompts in it and stuff like that. Ooh, I want to do that one. Maybe I'll do that tonight. But it gives you it's written by multiple authors. And it gives you like exercises like for writing and stuff. But it really kind of was interesting. The reason it called to me is because I was going through all my old this is one of the newer ones, but like I have like dozens of these like journal like of like poetry and things that I wrote back in the 1990s, and kind of looking at, and it was one of the things I was thinking about. I'm it's on my big list of things to do at some point in time in my life. But I'd like to write like a book of like ritual poetry, like as invocation type stuff, or if you want to call them prayers, that sort of thing. Um, that's something I was kind of batting around in the back of my head. So this book, do some of the exercises from it. Showed you Queen of Hell already. And the other book that I picked up recently was Soul Tenebrarum, The Occult Study of Melancholy by Asenath Mason. I've just started reading it, but I'm excited. This is what Jen's reading right now. Is Poetry is Spellcasting, Soul Tenebrarum, The Queen of Hell, physical books that I'm reading. Also, still working on the Four Daemon Queens by S. Conley and J.C. Decasari. And, well, this is, okay. So, I'm also rereading Arthur Rimbaud's A Season in Hell, because one of the things I had started writing in 1999 was I wrote an adaptation of Rimbaud's A Season in Hell, but it was about the end of the century and about my life at that time, and I just kind of randomly stopped around the impossible, which was part of it. On saison en enfer. So I'm kind of like feeling like, maybe my season in hell lasted a quarter century, but I feel like I need to finish that writing. So luckily I still have my copy of it. So yay. That's at least what I'm reading in physical books. So I'm also reading on my iPad Michael W. Ford's Bible of the Adversary. And what am I reading? Like I always have because sometimes I'll listen to audiobooks while I'm working. So I think I'm listening to the Book of Ceremony by Sandra Ingerman. I just finished up one on shamanic power animals by Don Jose Ruiz. So, catch up on comments here. Fair, yeah. Yeah, I don't really talk. I haven't talked to Orly in years, but that did not end well. We used to be close, but not so much anymore. Yeah, I'm gonna work my way through the Queen of Hell and then kind of see how I like the Primal Craft setup, and then probably work my way through the other books. But yeah, he's great. Like, I mean, yeah, he emails you right away. He's like, "Okay, I'm sending you the book. Here's all the other stuff I'm sending you, and let me know as soon as you get it," and stuff like that. So it was really nice to have like an author that like engaged. I'm like, I just bought a book. Yeah, city living's crazy anymore. It's so expensive. I'm like, my basic cost of living expenses for living in the hood should not be $4,000 a month. And that's before I put anything fancy in there like food or medical expenses. Yeah, I mean, I kind of like with you said you started with Queen of Hell and spoke with them a lot, and after seeing it being so closed, do you mean like closed as in like closed practice, or I'm not sure what. So I'm just starting. So he backed out for now. After I had a piece made and it showed it was attacked, not so. Yeah, I don't really know a whole lot about the primal craft, sort of thing. I just was interested in, like Curtis had talked about it a lot, and stuff like that. I was just interested in I like to learn shit. And God, it can't be any cultier than become a living God, and if it is, Jesus Christ. So you can't speak about the primal craft at all? That's weird. I mean, like I get yeah, I mean I get keeping some like I get keeping some knowledge, secret in that sense. I mean, I've seen videos about Primal Craft, or at least interviews with Mark Allen Smith and stuff like that on YouTube. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of gatekeepy aspects to certain areas of the occult, and I get it, but yeah, I see your point. Well, I mentioned it earlier on here, so uh but I'm not I that's really weird. Like from a marketing standpoint, it makes no sense to have people not talk about you or your work or your book. Yeah, I just wanted to see what it was like. I mean, I'm not committed to it, but I'd have to look into all that aspect more because I just kind of was like, oh, this sounds interesting. A lot of people talk about the primal craft stuff, so I just kind of wanted to like see what it was like. Like I'm just not like it make so like when you say just do not speak of it, are you talking about like anything related to it, or like the specific rituals, or well, I didn't sign anything that said I was not allowed to speak of it, so um like that's I don't understand from a legal standpoint. Like if I buy a book, I can do a book review on it, you know. Oh yeah, I wouldn't talk about the rituals. That's just not really what I just don't understand on what legal premise that they would have lawyers come after you, because if yeah, that's I get that. Like I just like if I haven't signed a legal document, then it's not like I've signed a non-disclosure act. It's not like I've signed a non-compete or a gag order or anything like that. I just bought a freaking book. Yeah, I'm just surprised. I'll have to look into that more. 'Cause, I mean, Curtis never mentioned any of that when he's talked about it on his stream. I mean, he hasn't gone into it in depth or anything, but he's mentioned. Hmm. Yeah, no, that's fine. I appreciate the warning for sure. Right. I mean, like most books come with the standard thing, like the reproduction of any parts of this book is strictly forbidden without prior written consent of the publisher or author. That sort of thing. Um, because copyright and trademark and all that are a thing, so I get that much. That sucks. I don't know. That's disappointing. Um, you know. Yeah, I mean, I would find that a little off-putting, to be honest. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the thing for me is I do my own thing most of the time. Oh, is this worse than that? Good to know. I wish Curtis had mentioned that in the videos. Um, it's a shame that there's just like so much like I don't know. The occult spectrum is such a weird spectrum. Like, yeah, like the cultiness aspect of the occult is it always kind of confounds me a little bit, especially on the left hand path. Um, that there's so much dogma and so much like it seems like it would be a path of which you would avoid the kind of culty behavior and churchy like things, but it seems to come out in spades. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess it depends on the availability and accessibility of books, or of them. Like his stuff you can get on Amazon. You know, it's, I guess, a different type of accessibility. Yeah, I mean, I'm familiar with like Liber Lilith, and that has some pretty like cringy, out there rituals in it, but it's also out of print at this point. Wow. Well, now I'm curious because yeah, I'm the same. I'm like, you got to try really hard to shock me. So, you know, um, that's wow. That's yeah, that's a little ew. Yeah, there's that aspect of the occult really just needs to go the way of the dinosaurs. Like, no, we don't do human. Like, I mean, I get like the symbolic, like especially like when you're talking about like vampirism and stuff like that. Like, okay, yes, you have the sanguine vampire stuff, but like most vampiric stuff, excuse me, like ritual stuff and practice stuff, like the psychic and energy vampirism, are that, and not, jumping out in a cloak in an alley and sinking your fangs into some poor damsel's throat and draining her of her blood, you know. But like some of these antiquated and whatnot things, like human sacky stuff. Try not to get flagged here on YouTube, but yeah, like there's so much. Like I see a lot with, especially the people who are like hardcore working through necromancy and like the death current. Like it, you could see it just kind of sucking the life out of them over time. So I'm kind of like, do you really need to be working with that? And that aspect is so much different than working with um like mediumship or working with the spirit world or stuff. Like when you're working like the deep necromancy stuff and working the death current, the way a lot of people seem to be on the certain aspect. It seems like most of the become a living god stuff I've seen coming out in the past year is all necromancy or vampirism or stuff like that related. So I don't know. Just seems like when people get really deeply entrenched in that, and I've heard people tell stories like you just watch those people who get really sucked into the death current becoming ill and like just almost diseased in a way. So it's like something I think that you like, you gotta be really careful with. And there's some really weird practices on like the necromancy route. I'm like, yeah, I'm not digging up a grave in a graveyard and sleeping in a coffin with a rotting corpse. Like, ew. Diseases exist, infections, smells, ew, ew. It's like, okay, like it's like it becomes like, I don't know. It's just like where the occult feels like it's an episode of Jackass. Sometimes it's like, let's eat this cauldron of live bugs. Um, and then parkour. It's just like it sometimes just seems like, I'm just talking broadly. It's like people just trying to out edge lord each other and being like the big bad and whatnot. And satanic who's the most satanic Satanist who'd ever Sataned and whatnot. Ridiculous. But I do appreciate though the advice on that, and it's one thing for me. Like I know now from my previous experiences to keep a buffer zone between what myself and other people like that are of that mindset. Be like, nope, not not getting involved here. I think Azonoth Mason used to be involved with Primal. I doubt it, but I mean, you might be able to find some excerpts in it and stuff. But yeah, I like the human that stuff. Like I don't. I mean, I just don't even think it should be addressed in this day and age. Like it's so barbaric. Like if you're that evolved and enlightened, why would you need to do that? Why? Like no entity I've ever worked with has required that or has needed that or asked that. I mean, not yeah, not even like go lop some heads off chickens. No. A lot of that I feel like when it comes to those topics, especially with animal sacrifice and human sacrifice and stuff like that, as it comes up in the occult, is just man's ego. I think it's just like you aren't doing this for the spirits. You're doing this because you want to do this, and that maybe it makes you like some badass edge lord or the most, you want to be evil and despised and whatnot. But it's like you can't be moving towards enlightenment on that spectrum. Like it makes no sense. You're not going to become enlightened by that. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there seems to be like, and other people have noticed this, like on the left hand path, black magic spectrum, like there just seems to be, and it's not across the board, but there seems to be an over obsession with like blood magic. And it's sort of like, I think Curtis was talking this a little bit on his stream last night, but like, it's kind of like, do you need to blood a sigil every time you work with it? Like, if it's the DNA that counts, you can pull out a hair follicle, you can use some saliva, sweat, your sexy juices, all that stuff. If you need the DNA connection with it, doesn't have to be blood. Yeah, like I know like in some of the ATR stuff that there's certain rights and stuff like that. But you're looking at something that's more of a cultural and traditional religious practice versus just a bunch of edge lords trying to like out edge lord each other in the left hand path the way you see them. Um Yeah, I mean, I'll do that too. Like, I mean, I have the little finger prick thing. That's fine. You know, it's like we see people all scarred up and shit like that from. I'm like, do you need that much blood? Mm. Yeah, I mean, I can understand that, but it's sort of like for and Santeria and stuff like that. And they do have legal protections for their practices as such, but um, yeah, I mean, those are such a different spiritual current for those that I mean, I can't even really touch upon it because I just don't even know. Um, but I feel like for the modern occult, left hand path, black magic, whatever, like, no, you don't need to do the toad ritual from the Grimoire Verum. Sorry, you really don't. I don't think you're going to get anything out of it that, and if you're just going to convince yourself you're getting something out of it power wise. Um, and that one for that particular ritual from the Grimoire Verum is pretty freaking torturous. Yeah, I think it originally came from the Grimoire Verum, the Toad ritual or the Toad rite. Yeah, that's yeah. But yeah, like I think it's just not that I am a feminist or anything, but it's just like there's such a fucking dude mentality in the left hand path. That I think that's why we get sucked down into all these like things like this, like with the animal sacrifice and with these particular rituals and stuff like that, because it just like it's just got like a dude bro mentality sometimes. Like, is this a spirituality or are we just like on the Joe Rogan show and watching Jackass and being a bunch of fucktards? Hey, yeah, I've been on for a little while. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna stay on, but you can always catch up on the beginning parts. But the dudism, yeah, it does get a little well, and a lot of it for me, like part of the reason I kind of like severed ties with like a lot of the bog community was because that like I was just getting bogged down and attacked constantly, but all these like misogynistic little incel twerps. And I was like, where the fuck are these fucks coming from? And like eventually I followed the breadcrumb trails back to and figured out, once I severed ties with like the JD temples and well, I say like with JS, that was years ago, but once I got out of that like bog area, like I have not really had like any problems. Like maybe every once in a while I'll deal with someone uh you know who just leaves a dumb or shitty comment on a video. Um but like I severed that pipeline and my connection to it. Um because man, those the little incel like hater boys really hate me. But once I pulled away from that, it stopped. And that's how you know when you've nipped something off you've gotten to the source of it, when you sever that connection and then you no longer have the problem to deal with. And I have no regrets about that. And otherwise, with like the bald people, especially with like JD and JS, that like I realized I was constantly having a lot of my own traumas re-triggered, and being re-traumatized. And I was like, you know what? I don't need this. Bye. Like I just there's times where you're like, I have to take care of myself, and you know, I was really good friends with JD for a while. Like but he just went too far down the rabbit hole, and I just am like, nope, done. Um, yeah, Xander. I mean, the thing is, like with a lot of the women, is that either because of the misogynistic bullshit we have to deal with, a lot of women either do their own thing and kind of skim the periphery, or just aren't going to be, or going to kind of lean into other aspects of the occult without it specifically being the left hand path only. um he was funny to a point, and then it just got like super cringe and super like, dude, ew. Like, I'm sorry, but like the teddy bear rape video he did, like making like, I guess, I don't know. I think he's secretly in love with Curtis, but yeah, the teddy bear rape video was a little like, holy fuck, bro, you need help. Yeah, like there was always a point when, when they'd make fun of someone in a video where it's like, okay, this is acceptable, roasting kind of thing. And then it just went a step further, a step too far, and another step too far. And then you're just like, what did I just watch? But the thing is, it's like your reputation matters. And I'm sorry, but like someone putting out videos like that, I'm not going to trust them to do magic for me or buy their products. I'm embarrassed that I did before. Um, Vaguely, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. Like I do my own thing. I find a lot of what I have to do. Well, yeah, I mean, the reason like I severed ties with JS a long time ago was because he couldn't bully me into his side. I'm like, dude, you're getting divorced. I was not married to either of you, so I'm just, being just talking to Barbie and being friends and stuff like that. And then suddenly he's running around calling me a fat feminazi to everyone. Had audio clips of it and had confirmation from other people that he was saying those things. So I was like, well, okay, you have zero respect for me as a friend, as a colleague, and as a client who has given you a lot of money. So fuck off, you know? Yeah, I mean, the fact that he was basically making like the number of times, like when we were still Facebook friends, like I had to apologize, through DM to other people because he was making like, prison rape jokes and stuff like that in comments on like my posts. Um, yeah, that kind of person. And not for nothing, like I've seen all the receipts. I get the tea spilled on a regular basis from numerous people. So I know the what of most people in the community and their nonsense. So I know who to stay away from most of the times. But yeah, it was a coordinated attack, or a coordinated thing to like divide and conquer. Like honestly, I think most of Bog's trouble, like I don't think it was all of like I don't think it was all Yuri or Orly or the BBC. I think the person who did the most damage to Bog's rep was probably JS. They don't see it, but yeah, that's true. I yeah. And what people show you of themselves, when people show you their true self, pay attention to that. Um, but yeah, like there's so many people like the simping for these abusive men and these known abusers and shit like that. I'm like, got receipts on all of them at this point. Like, oh, there's your soulmate. Oh, yeah. Usually your soulmate, you don't wake up with your soulmate like standing over you, pointing a AR-15 at your head with your child in the next room. But yeah, I'm sure you're soulmates. Yeah, I unfortunately just know way too much at this point, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, she's doing great now, and I'm like so happy for her and thrilled and stuff like that. But it's just like when you're in that cycle of abuse, it's like makes you crazy. And like it takes years to get yourself back from that. Um That's a shame because like all these people could be really awesome, really great people, really great practitioners, and they just like kind of choose not to be. Yeah, like I know from what when I at least on my personal Facebook when I like kind of announced that I said like stepped away from the ball thing, like several of my friends were like, good, because it was really damaging your reputation being associated with them. Um so and I get it because I'm a little like I mean there's people like I know still that are peripherally involved, but like yeah, I mean it's the constantly attacking people is just so what I found within especially like that the bald side of it that thing is it was very much a lot of you know well if you're not if you're friends with this person is a lot of forced side choosing like you can't be friends with this person and be friends with me fuck I can't eat a bag of dicks you know um and that to me is kind of culty behavior. I'm like, I can be friends with whoever the fuck I want to. Has nothing to do with I am perfectly rational, capable human adult who can be friends with two people who hate each other and not be influenced by it. Oh, thank you for the super chat. Bog attacks each other. Thank God they don't attack their clients. I don't know how much I would put credence in they don't attack their clients because I'm pretty sure that I've had things thrown at me by people associated with them. I mean, you can't tell me JS didn't throw anything at me over time. Um, because I mean, like seriously, he like death curse his own children, you know? Yeah, he death curse a freaking potato for tripping over it, that kind of thing. Like it's that sort of stuff that I just don't. Good riddance. As far as I know, like I mean, if someone is like curses literally everyone over every little petty infraction, I'm sure, he didn't just stop at me being a fat feminazi. Um, I don't know if I have proof or not. I'm trying to think. Oh, puppy. Yeah, these people are just, I don't know, like, And that's why, it's really important to trust when you're hiring people to do rituals for you or you're doing rituals for other people. Um, yeah, the Georgina thing was, yeah, I don't know all the details of it, but it was kind of like, yeah, maybe, don't applaud the Yahtzees who are like defending you. That's not a good look. It's a shame because her channel was really good. Like she had a lot of really good content. But if you fuck up enough to lose a book deal, you fucked up. But it's being able to like I'm very anti cancel culture. Like but I like I like informed consent. I like to know what I'm getting into and I like to be like, hey, um maybe don't trust this person or maybe don't support this person's got a track record of a whole bunch of heinous fucked up shit, so you should be aware of that. What was her channel? I forget what it was called. um she had a pretty big following and stuff like that too, so like I don't know, I mean enough to have had like a book deal with Red Wheel Ricer, so um Oh, 100% Xander. You notice that if people don't address their personal traumas and do shadow work, there will always be witch wars because people use it to settle personal needs that are just not worth the effort. Yeah, like I mean, I'm kind of like my ethos on life across the spectrum is live and let live and don't be a dick. Like it's not that hard. Like I'm perfectly capable of existing in the occult spectrum with people I don't like, or that don't like me or whatever. It's just kind of like, do I need to death curse them for existing? No. I mean, I'll return to sender that shit. But it's just kind of like it's the people that perpetuate the negative stereotypes about, like, whether it's Satanism or the left hand path or black magic. Like I feel like half of what I do on my channel is just dispelling bullshit of going, okay, today in this week's occult bullshit, here's something I want to talk about. um yeah, thank you, the Cauldron. I like you, Jen, because you are awesome and not into bullshit. I gravitate to people who are not. Well, I'm a little crazy, but a little cray cray, but I'm cray cray in a good way. It's a learning experience, but yeah, like I am like a zero bullshit person. I'm very, and it might just be like the neurospiciness of me and my existence is like what you see is what you get. I am not going to fake anything. I am not going to blow smoke up your ass because I hate when people blow smoke up my ass. Because if you're going to blow smoke up my ass, I'm going to fart it back into your face because that's the type of no bullshit that I am. Um, but I like to me, like to me, the most cringy thing is being insincere. Like when I if I have to be insincere, like the thought of it even just makes my skin crawl. Like it feels like someone's running a cheese grater across my skin. So that's why I'm very honest about things and I don't bullshit because being insincere is just like vomit inducing for me. And if I'm being insincere or faking something, you'll know, I'll be like, oh, darling, that's so wonderful, really. Oh, yes, keep doing what you're doing. It's lovely. Yes. Oh, bless your heart. And may you have the day you deserve. Yeah, I mean, you have to just be real and be honest and be like, Moon, what are you doing? So I have a crystal grid that lights up, and I have a big rose quartz sphere in it, and for some reason, I guess Moon is doing some new moon ritual with it. She's standing on some books, sniffing the crystals. Yeah, that's moonstone, Moon. It's like a stone for you. That cat's definitely a witch. She does witchy shit. Corey's just a cat. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I wake you up? You were so cute, though. You were snoring. Corey's like my soulmate cat. Moon, what are you doing? She's like, now I'm gonna go sniff your wax melt warmer. It's Nag Shampa, Moon. That's the incense thing. It's not burning right now. Please don't stick your face in melted wax. Yes, I would very much not like to have to wash wax up for for whiskers. But yeah, like I'm just a no bullshit kind of person, like across the board. Like I don't play games. I'm not, you know. Yes, yes, I believe so. It's a dark moon in Gemini. I'm a Gemini, so I've been a little I didn't do one last week because I just was like, oh, I think I was just kind of like, I just don't feel like doing a live stream, and I had an Amanita gummy and slept for like 12 hours. Awesome. I think the last one I did was on my birthday, and I skipped the Memorial Day weekend one because it was Memorial Day, and it's normally kind of loud in my neighborhood. And the one before that I missed because I was out of town for my niece's dance recital. But yeah, this has been a really great live stream. Been going for like almost 3 hours. But yeah, I don't know how they're probably going to be fairly random going forward with like the whole moving and selling my house, buying a new house, blah blah blah. Oh, that's oh my goodness, Corey, you're so cute. You got eye boogies. You got eye boogies. Leave my eye boogies alone, woman. Oh my goodness. Oh, smush face. So, oh, Bubby, you're so cute. Sorry, distracted by cats. And I completely forgot where I was going with it. So, yes, it's a dark moon in Gemini, and we're in Gemini season. So, woo, Gemini! I'll be extra Gemini today. Although my moon and rising are in Pisces. So, oh, hi, moon. Thank you for sniffing my feet. That's not at all weird. Um, but anywho, I'm probably gonna log soon because I probably have to pee. I always have to pee. I think my Venus is in Cancer. Come here, Moon. Come here. Come here, Moon, Moon. Yeah, I may do something ritually tonight. I tend to do a lot of rituals. Here's Moon Moon, clustered around the new moon time more so than the full moon because the full moon makes me an emo bitch and I just want to sleep. Like I can sleep all weekend. That's what I pay people to do rituals for me. Oh yeah, that was what I was talking about before, and I got distracted by cat butt. Like when you're trusting someone with rituals, especially if you have to give them personal information like your date of birth, your full name, location, anything like that, that they have their thing. You really need to trust those people because like I've looked back at I'm like the people that have some of that information on me, I really wish didn't. Luckily, for the person in question on that one, is they're a terrible record keeper, so I'm pretty sure they don't still have that information. But still, it's a little nerve wracking to think that, you know, when even for like basic things like tarot readings and stuff like that, like there's an assumption that your information is being is held privately. But if someone, oh yeah, I saw that with the video you did about the Etsy people who do like a ritual for $6 or something. I'm like, what are you really getting for $6? I'm pretty sure my candle costs more than $6. um but yeah, so it's just kind of like that trust, and also, you know the assumption that that person isn't going to go dox you. um because I had to deal with that a little bit with that uh dropship scammer dude I had to deal with earlier this year. Like, what's enraging? Well, he finally had. I mean, he had his website down, taken. I guess he doesn't have any products listed on anymore. I guess he got enough DMCA claims that, and Shopify is pretty amazing to work with. So, um, but yeah, like he made this like video, like doxing me on Facebook, like literally calling me an artard and slow and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm autistic. Went in so far as to dig up an old GoFundMe campaign and sit there and shame me for having been in a depressive cycle, and the stuff that I was dealing with last year. You know, Facebook didn't see any need to take that video down. But, this person went out of their way to dig up what I'm like, that's the best you could do and dig up information, is to look like a damn fool making fun of a disabled autistic woman for having depression. And honey, I'm not slow, because guess whose website's still up and who doesn't have one anymore? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's kind of like when you're thinking about all the stuff you're giving out. I mean, now some of this information is accessible. Like, if we're Facebook friends, you're gonna see you see my picture and stuff like that. I think I might have. I mean, at least my birth date isn't hidden, but the birth year is, I think. Um, but yeah, it's just kind of thinking about, because I had so many falling outs with people that I used to work with, mostly in that bog kind of community, that I kind of was like, it's a little nerve wracking, because like, obviously some people have absolutely no problems doxing other people and doing a lot of heinous shit. That's why I had to get a freaking, what did I do? What was it called? Oh. Yeah, I think I had to slap someone with a cease and desist order. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I mean, I'm pretty tight-lipped about what I do, especially if someone's coming at me. And I have multiple layers in which I deal with that sort of thing. I have multiple trusted, whether it's energy workers and healers and practitioners that I work with. So, good luck getting things to stick, because I get that stuff done regularly. And in addition to my own things, occasionally something sticks, but um, yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like, yeah, yeah, like a lot of people talk about when they make videos about protection magic. Well, I'm not going to tell you all the shit I do for my protection magic, because that's just giving you the keys to break into my house while I'm away on vacation. I might say, this is my protection jar. You don't know what's in it, how it was consecrated, and what I did with it to make it that way. So, Yeah, like, I mean, when I do talk about things, I mean, I'm being a little more open about it on this one than I normally am. I usually, kind of low key throw shade in a way, or like, I'm like, hey, let's talk about this issue because I've seen it come up in the community. And, it's like the video I just dropped yesterday on working with Shamyaza. Well, that stemmed from some conversations with a client and some other people about working with the master key amulet that was associated with Shamyaza, that was associated with a certain person we were talking about earlier in a certain company. So, I just kind of made of it like I tiptoe around things without really naming names and dropping shit. So, um I like that. Best response to insults and curses. You are completely unoriginal, uninteresting, and altogether forgettable. I swear no one knows how to bounce back. Yeah, I usually a lot of times I think like when people make asshole comments, especially like for my Christian haters, I'm like, thank you for boosting my view count and algorithm. I really appreciate the support. Satan loves you. Yeah, I agree on that. Like that's just kind of like why like half this community is just crazy. Yeah, one of my regrets, Xander, is the fact that I used my legal name. I thought about that at the beginning of when I was doing my YouTube channel of what I wanted to call it. And now I'm like, God, I wish I just made up some fake ass name. I'm like, I'm Raven Blood Moon Stabatha the Fourth or something like that. Stabatha. I like that name. Yeah, like some of those videos were funny, but only because I really disliked that person. But there was always a point at which it just became extra cringe. Like some of the other stuff he did outside of the yogurt videos were really like the teddy bear rape one for Curtis was I don't think that was on the YouTube. I think that was on his Facebook. That one was pretty awful. Um it's like the funny thing is, with a lot of like, yeah, because I went to Catholic school and I honestly like I had so much religious trauma and so much animosity towards the Catholic Church. And it's odd that working through this current has actually like I'm always like, man, if we learned about the Book of Enoch in school, because I went to Catholic school, if we learned about the Book of Enoch in Catholic school, I would have been down with that shit because that's some awesome stuff, you know. So it's like a lot of when you're looking at Luciferianism and stuff like that. Like I love the fallen angel lore and stuff like that, and that's all biblical, and stuff. So it's like it ties in its own way to Christianity, but no, not a Christian channel. I mean, it's one of those things like when you look at like I don't like some people are very very like no I only do dark and evil stuff, um but like I don't it's just different energy currents, it's different type of spirits like one light can exist without dark, dark can exist without light. So both would be meaningless. It's sort of like if we eradicated all the evil in the world and all we had was good, or if we were immortal and could live forever, it's like sometimes you have to have these paradoxical dichotomies in which to give meaning to things. Like if you were just going to respawn every time after you died, like it just kind of like it would put an entirely different meaning on. You wouldn't worry things wouldn't have meaning like at that point. So but yeah, anyways, yeah, like a lot of like I don't see a vast difference between light magic, dark magic, black magic, white light, love and light, whatever. Because I mean, I've seen a hell a lot of toxicity on the love and light side of things. Ooh. Um, that gets messy fast. But we're just about at the 3 hour mark. Well, yeah, I mean that's too with Christianity. It basically just kind of appropriated all the old gods and pagan stuff, and shat all over it. Cool. Well, I am probably going to hop off myself because we're just about at the 3 hour mark, and um, my body is starting to get annoyed at me for sitting here. So I think I actually need to like lay down, and I may need to eat something. I can't remember if I had dinner. I did. I did have dinner. Okay. So I think I just need more food. My appetite's a little off. It was good seeing you too from the cauldron. My appetite's a little off since I stopped taking my Adderall a week ago, because usually like it would shift. Like I would just forget to eat until like 7 o'clock. Oh, no worries. I've been a little like with the live streams. It's been hit or miss lately. Um, but yeah, I'll try to do. I should be able to do one next weekend, and I probably will skip the 4th of July because I think I'm going to go up to my parents' house. Or well, no, the 4th of July is a Tuesday, but like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out because there's usually a block party on my block that's around the 4th of July. I just haven't seen when it's supposed to be, and I don't want to be here for it. So whenever that is, I'm GTFOing for that day for the overnight. So we may be on the road. Thank you all for watching. Yeah, I'm an insomniac, so I just for some reason decided that was the name of the live stream is the Occult Insomniac. Um, yeah, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to click like and subscribe and the notification thingies if you haven't already. Also, there is a probably pinned to the chat is a coupon code for $5 off your first and or next order on the new website. And that is combinable with other discounts, I think. So if I set it up correctly, I'm still troubleshooting a few things. But yeah, thank you all so much. And we do have a Father's Day sale going until Monday midnight. So I think that's 20% off as well. So anyways, thank you all for watching. This has been a really great conversation, and I'll talk to y'all later. Love you.